To better understand the pulse of Republican politics at the moment, we spoke earlier with a group of voters who would support former President Trump if he ran again in 2024. We began our conversation with the Justice Department's intensifying investigation into the former president for allegedly mishandling classified information.
It appears to be politically motivated, but there's no way to be sure because we don't work for the FBI. We don't work for the Biden administration.
They're not going to leave him alone. So even if he has done something wrong, they'll always be trying to go after him for something, and it'll be the focus.
I believe that if it really was about documents, that it could have been handled between the lawyers as it had been being handled. You don't raid the home of a former president like he's the drug dealer down the street with the lights and the guys with the guns, and it wasn't necessary. Can I trust that what they say that they supposedly found is really found? I can't. I'll never believe it.
Right. When Senator Lindsey Graham, Joanne, said that if the former president is indicted, there will be riots in the streets. Do you agree with that? And do you feel comfortable with a senator saying something like that?
No, I wish Lindsey Graham had not voiced it that way. I think if he's indicted, there will be a lot of unhappy people, but I do not believe that MAGA Republicans are going to be rioting in the street.
I don't see there being rioting. If there was going to be any rioting in the streets, it would have been when the last election was stolen. It wouldn't be over this issue.
Let me pick up on that, Steve. You just said the last election was stolen. How was it stolen?
I saw the video out of Georgia that they cleared everybody out of the polling place. And as soon as everybody was gone, they pulled suitcases full of ballots out of underneath tables and started processing. And the next morning, the entire outcome was different.
Steve, does it matter to you that the Georgia Bureau of Investigation looked into that and decided itself that there was nothing wrong there?
I have to believe my own two eyes. I watched it happen on video. Yeah, we know video can be doctored today, but I'm not buying it. I'm a pretty bright guy. What I see, I believe. At least half of it.
Does it matter that two U.S. attorneys, both of them appointed by former President Trump, looked into it and did not consider that activity fraudulent? Does that matter to you?
It gives me pause, makes me think more deeply about it. But again, I have to believe what I see.
Mary, do you believe the 2020 election was stolen?
I wouldn't necessarily say that it was stolen, but I believe that it was unfair. People don't know their history then because they don't know how Democrats argued over the 2000 election. Obviously, they said the Supreme Court elected George W. Bush. And then again in 2004, it was the same thing.
To that point, and I don't disagree with you at all, I've covered 2000, I covered 2004. I well remember the instances you described them accurately. But I remember a phrase that my grandmother used to use, which is two wrongs don't make a right. And I wonder how you process that wisdom from my grandmother in this context.
I think two wrongs don't make a right, but I don't think hypocrisy is very flattering as well.
Joanne, about two wrongs don't make a right. I understand that there is a history on both sides. I'm just wondering if you're comfortable and if you have any anxiety about the future of democracy if both sides use that as an excuse against one another and we never get anywhere.
You're absolutely correct. If every side is going to say after they lose, we really didn't lose, then yeah, I mean, elections will become something that nobody's ever going to be happy with.
You just said the question of democracy, but isn't democracy arguing, debating? So if the precedent has been set that you can question elections, I mean, you can question everything in a democracy.
Sure.
So it's getting to somebody like me, who's not a Republican or a Democrat, but I do support Trump. It's getting really old hearing democracy, 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 because what we're doing is part of a democracy. And the way Joe Biden and the Democrats use it as a weapon. The term democracy has become a weapon, and it just means that if you're afraid that Republicans are a threat to democracy, what you're telling me is that you're afraid that Republicans are a threat to your power and your agenda. And so I think we need to go back and have a better understanding of what democracy actually is.
Steve, let me follow up with you. What are your feelings about the upcoming midterms? Do you have confidence in the election results you will see reported either that night or the following days?
No, my confidence in that area has been shaken for a long time.
Mary, can I ask you the same question? How do you feel about the coming midterms and the election results that will be reported?
For the most part, yeah, I'm confident.
Okay. Joanne, how about you?
The Democrat Party has spent a lot of money to prop up what they call MAGA candidates in the upcoming November election. Candidates that they figured once they got there, the Democrat could beat. But then the president the other night basically told everyone that we can't have the MAGA Republicans in office at all, because we're going to destroy the country. So I don't know. It concerns me. I thought we were going to do very well in November.
Steve, if I could ask you, if former President Trump were not to declare for 2024, do you have an alternative who is already a favorite of yours?
Ron DeSantis. In fact, I'd love to see a DeSantis-Trump ticket.
Mary, if former President Trump were not to run, do you have an alternate favorite already?
Yeah, definitely Governor DeSantis, but I have family in Florida and I would hate to steal such a great governor from them.
Joanne?
Oh, definitely DeSantis. Ron DeSantis all the way if it can't be Trump.
And Joanne, let me just follow up with you. Why? What is it that's so attractive about Governor DeSantis?
When DeSantis sees an issue, he takes it on. He's not afraid to take on anything, nor is Donald Trump.
Mary, your thoughts about Governor DeSantis?
Well, I think Republican politicians need to pay attention to him and how he governs and how he deals with the press. He goes on offense like we haven't seen except with President Trump.
I appreciate your time, but I want to open the floor if anyone wants to add anything that is still on their minds that I haven't gotten to.
I am a MAGA Republican, and I'm not a threat to anybody. And I just appreciate the fact of being able to say that. I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to destroy the democracy. I want this country to be great again. That's what I want. And that's all it means, MAGA, to be great again, make America great again. And that is something that I'd like to see happen, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Well said,
And
Joanne.
thank you for listening to me.
And we'll be back in a moment.